Please welcome to the stage, Cliff McCurry.
Thank you very much. I'm limping up here with a bad hip. I'm going through physical therapy. I got to have a cornea transplant in 2 weeks, so I'm half blind, but hopefully I can get through this. I chose, when Natalie said I had to pick a song, I picked Kool and the Gang Celebration because there's nothing I can think about my time at Georgia in the Terry College, but especially as associate chairman at the Pike House. Doesn't bring back happy memories, and so it's a time for celebration. And I can see I can't read this up here, so I'll try. They said so much of what I wanted to say in the video, but I'll try to get through this. First of all, I got to say, when I had a message to call Dean Ayers, and I said, "Oh Lord, what I'm in trouble for." And so when I called him back and he told me that I was receiving this award, obviously I was blown away. As a member of the UGA Foundation, as a trustee, and then also the Terry College of Business Board, I've attended most of the galas until my wife got sick a few years ago. And to see the people who've received this award before me and to be included in that group is it's just something I'm just so grateful and proud of. And I want to thank Matt Stinchcomb for nominating me. I nominated Matt for the Young Distinguished Alumni back in 2012, and he won that. And I know I've been supported by some of my other Sterling Seacrest Partners teammates, Bartley Miller and obviously Cindy and Ryan, who are here tonight. And I'm just so grateful. I know my wife and my son Lee are smiling down tonight from heaven, but I'm so delighted to have the rest of my family here tonight, especially all 5 of our grandchildren. And our son Jamie over there he's a proud Furman graduate, and he's director of administration for the Georgia Ports Authority. So he's done very, very well. His beautiful wife Kendall, who is a Cajun Bayou princess from Baton Rouge, and LSU, and her dad's about as avid LSU fan as I am a dog fan. So every time Jamie and Kendall would go down to Baton Rouge, the kids would come back with purple and gold and trying to look like tigers, and I'm trying to tell them to look like a bulldog. So it's been kind of fun. My oldest son, my first grandson, Ford, is here tonight. He's a freshman at Georgia Southern studying videography. He's loving it down there. And his sister, and I hope I don't break up on this, but his sister Eleanor, she just went through a battle of bone cancer 2 years ago and spent a year going through chemo and radiation. And anyway, she's beaten it. And, it's... But her courage and faith has just been such a testament to everybody that knows her. And as great as this night is, yesterday was just awesome because she got her acceptance to UGA yesterday. So I suspect her mother's going to be spending a lot of time up in Athens and barking more than she's talking about LSU now. And then the little one, our Brinkley, we call her BB. There's nothing. She's never met a stranger, and I predict that she'll end up being a U.S. senator one day because this little girl is. She's not afraid to go up and talk to anybody, and she's got an opinion on everything. So we're so glad to have Brinkley here with us. And then my son Lee's widow, Melissa, is here tonight. She's a graduate of Armstrong State in Savannah, and she is the sales executive and sales manager for the Live Oak Restaurant Group in Savannah. I'm sure many of y'all who've been to Savannah have eaten at some of their restaurants, Tubby's and Spanky's and Molly's, and she does all the parties and private parties and doing accounting as well. And then her beautiful daughter, Cannon, is just an avid ballerina and competitive dance student, and there's no telling where she's going to go with that passion she has for dance. And then you saw my little pistol Pete, Landry. I think this little boy loves basketball as much as his big daddy does. So I love going to watch him play. But so much of what I was going to say was covered in the video. I think one of the reasons why I may have been nominated for this award is because of my passion for mentorship. Because God literally blessed me with the most wonderful man in my life, probably. My dad passed away early too, but Nick Mamalakis, who is the father of my best friend and fraternity brother and like a brother, Johnny Mamalakis. When my parents divorced and my dad moved to Atlanta, my mother and I moved in with my grandmother, and we lived about 2 blocks away from the Mamalakis house, and I spent so many days over there playing basketball and playing around on the playground next door, hitting golf balls and that sort of thing. But he really took an interest in me. When I say God put him in my life, he basically adopted me as his third son. And when he gave him that job at Mercer Insurance Agency, when I was 14 as the mail clerk, some of y'all may be interested in knowing this, the Mercer Insurance Agency was founded in 1902 by the father of Johnny Mercer, who's probably Savannah's most celebrated person, who won like 7 Academy Awards. Most popular song was Moon River, and he was Johnny Mercer's best friend in Savannah as well. But he would pay me $15 a week to come down. I'd catch the bus downtown after school, go to the post office, get the mail, bring it back to the office, and distribute it. And I'd deliver insurance policies to attorneys' offices for closings, and they actually had me making bank deposits at age 14. So to have somebody put that kind of trust in you, man, he really was a blessing and a mentor to me. When Christmas vacation or Christmas break, my senior year at Savannah High School, I went to the library to work on a term paper. When I came back, I found my mother on the floor of our apartment. She'd had a cerebral hemorrhage, and we rushed her to the hospital, but she passed away that night at age 43. And the first person I called was my girlfriend Kathy, who became my wife, and then I called the Mamalakis house, and Mr. Mamalakis came to my apartment, met me there when I came home from the hospital, and he got in my face that night. He said, "Son, you got 2 choices to make. You can go through life being pissed off at the world and feeling sorry for yourself, or you can decide you want to make something of yourself with everything your mom and dad have taught you." And he says, "If that's the decision you make, I want to be a part of it." And anyway, that's the kind of love he had for me and I had for him. I ended up getting a basketball scholarship to Armstrong State. Kathy ended up going to Georgia Southern, and we had agreed we were going to date other people. She took it really seriously. I had friends would call me up and say, "Cliff, you ought to see who she's out with tonight. He drives a Corvette. He's in a rock and roll band." And when Dean Ayers called me, I said, "Did you check my GPA?" And I laughed. And actually, when I was at Armstrong, I had like a 3.8 because all I could do was practice basketball and go to the library. But when I had a chance, I ended up getting a scholarship to go to Georgia Southern. It certainly wasn't basketball. It was a scholastic scholarship. And when I went to him, I said, "Boss, what do you think?" He said, "Nope, I want you to go to the University of Georgia." And I said, "Well, I can't afford to go to the University of Georgia." And he says, "Well, I'll guarantee the loan for you to go to the University of Georgia if you'll agree to take risk management insurance courses. And if you like it, give me first shot at you." And I said, "Well, I can't turn that down." So that's how I ended up going to Georgia. But I had a 3.8, transferred to Georgia, put on a Pike pledge pen, and it took the rest of my 2 years to get it back up to a 2.5. But My first class was with E.J. Leverett, who started the risk management program at Georgia. And, you know, so many students, I know we have a lot of industry professionals here in the room tonight, besides Sterling Seacrest Partners, and especially Cecil Cook. I want to thank Cecil Cook, too, for his support. Cecil has been a great friend of mine for a long time. And when he retired from Aon and became an adjunct professor in the risk management department, he invited me several years in a row to come up and speak to his senior class. And incredibly, we've actually hired some of the students that came out of that class. But Cecil's been a great friend, and I know he got this award back in 2022. So to be joining him up here is just a great honor. But anyway, that introductory class that E.J. Leverett taught, man, it just hooked me because it took everything in the business school, law, statistics, accounting, management, marketing, everything kind of came together in the risk management program, and I loved it. And I know so many other students that I've talked to have said the same thing. So anyway, I came back to Savannah in 1971 as an agent, and many of the ladies that were working there had seen me grow up from 14 as the mail clerk, and that was kind of a strange situation feeling for me. But in 1976, Mr. Mamalakis basically sold the agency to us for like 25 cents on the dollar to me and my three partners. And we ended up, we grew very rapidly as one of the local independent agencies, and we ended up merging with one of our competitors across the street called Jones and Hill. So we became Jones, Hill, and Mercer, and we literally moved our office stuff right off across Bay Street from 7 East Bay to 12 East Bay. And you know, we were a very large agency. We were a TPA for self-funded workers' compensation and employee benefits, and we had about 225 employees, I think, in Savannah at that time because of the claims administration. But in 1986, Jones, Hill, and Mercer was acquired by Hillbrook, Gallup, Hamilton, HRH, and publicly held company. It was a stock deal, and I became president of HRH of Savannah. And, you know, I really thought that's where I'd retire because I'd been with the same firm. It just changed names through the mergers. And then in 2008, Willis bought HRH, and they made me chairman of the Savannah office because we brought in a young man from our Mobile office to take over as president from me. And I really enjoyed working there, and I thought that's where I'd retire. But the 7 founding partners of Seacrest had left Palmer and Kay to start Seacrest Partners all together on a Friday afternoon and opened up their office on Monday, sitting around a card table, looking at each other, saying, what are we going to do now? And but they offered me the job to come over as vice chairman of Seacrest Partners, and I made that move, and I was the 13th employee. And right after I came on board, I helped recruit legends Matt Stinchcomb and David Green to come work for us and open up our Atlanta office. And since then, we've grown through mergers with Sterling Risk Advisors and Pritchard and Jordan to become Sterling Seacrest Pritchard. SSP is what we're having to say now because it's so damn long to say that. But we are now the largest privately owned insurance broker in the Southeast with close to 400 employees and 6 offices in 4 states. And so, you know, I've never worked with a better team than those guys over there and so many others that are in our Atlanta, Little Rock, Birmingham, Tampa, Columbus offices. And I'm just so proud to be on that team. And as most companies have a policy about buying you out at age 65, I went there at 60. And so at age 65, the rule was that they would buy out your stock. And they did that, but I wasn't ready to retire. David Patterson, our president, who you saw in the video, he was gracious enough to let me stay on the team and take the powerful title of Director of Community Development. And so, and retain my office. And there's nothing that I enjoy more than going down to the office and just surrounding myself with winners. And when these young insurance professionals come in my office and say, "Can I talk to you? Would you look over this account I'm working on and give me your thoughts?" and all that, this keeps this old man going. I just love it. And the mentoring part, as I said, Cecil had asked me to come up and speak to his class. And when I talk to students about mentoring, about insurance business, my best advice to them is, number one, if you're in the risk management program at the University of Georgia, you ain't got to worry about getting a job. I mean, you'll be hired within 2 weeks if you want it from the time you graduate as the number one risk management program in the country. But I said, don't be looking to go work for somebody just because of somebody offering you a higher salary. I said, what you want to look for is when you look across the table at whoever you're interviewing with, if you don't see them as a mentor, a potential mentor, and a mentor is not somebody that wants to teach you to be like them, it's somebody that wants you to help identify your God-given talents and be the best person you can be. You don't have to be like somebody else. It's know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And that to me is one of the most important things about when you get out of college, is going to work, whether it's risk management or whatever it is, to go work for somebody or with somebody that really wants to invest their time in you and your success. And that's just something I love doing and have loved doing, and I'm grateful I can still do that. I know another criteria for this award is philanthropy. And one thing Mr. Mamalakis instilled in all of us that worked for him was the value of student leadership, servant leadership. And he encouraged us to get involved in everything in the community, United Way, March of Dimes, and that's something we've continued to do at Sterling Seacrest Partners. I know in Savannah, almost every one of our employees, from the receptionists all the way around the office, they're involved in something on a board serving others. And one of the things that Mr. Mamalakis taught me, he kind of insisted that we all of us were guys, join the Savannah JCs. He was the first president of Savannah JCs. And the last line of the JC Creed is, "Service to humanity is the best work of life." And I really think that in our business, that's what we do. We solve problems for people. We get them through the hard times. And also in the community, we don't call giving it back because we don't think we've taken anything from the community, but we want to be recognized in our community as servant leaders. And so much of our business has come because the Savannah people, and I know in Atlanta and the other cities too, see that what we're involved in, and they want to do business with somebody they can trust. And it's not, one of the things that's certainly true about this business to be successful, this is not a transactional business. It's not a matter of selling an insurance policy. It's a matter of building relationships and gaining the trust of the people that want to do business with you. And I'm so proud that some of our accounts, like Cindy's handled several of my accounts that have been there for over 50 years. And that's what makes me tick, is knowing that I'm on a winning team. I'm not directly involved in handling accounts anymore, but I often get phone calls from clients that were mine, and they'll call me up and say, "Well, so-and-so hadn't gotten back to me." And I said, "Well, I guarantee you'll hear from them in 30 minutes. And but I just love being around the winners. And, another quote that comes to mind that I know many in this room are familiar with is from the author Thomas Carlyle, who wrote Sartor Resartus. And one of the Latin words in his book is sic vos non vobis, which means thus we labor, not for ourselves, but for others. And I think that's what we do in the insurance business, the risk management business, and that's something I try to live by. But I have been blessed in so many ways. starting with my beautiful wife, who was my high school sweetheart, and we were married for 53 years before she passed away 2 years ago. And but the beautiful family that I've got with me tonight, and it's because of God's grace. None of us deserve where we are and what we have without God's grace. And that's just something that I firmly believe in and try to live by. But I guess I'm talking too long now because I can't even read my notes. But I know I'm standing between you and a cocktail and some music and the auction, so I'll wrap it up. But I just want to say how proud I am to be a Bulldog, and okay. All right. BB's trying to pull me off the stage, but thank you for this great award recognition. Thank you for your support of Terry, and go Dogs.